There's about 500,000 LGBTQ Ohioans in our state, and about 30% of them are raising families. And so these bills particularly harm those 30% of queer folks who are raising children and have families in our state. I'm going to repeat the statistic that Jorge said because it is just unfathomable. Of all of our LGBTQ youth, 40%, of all of our homeless youth, 40% of them identify as LGBTQ. I mean, that is just really unconscionable because it also shows the lack of support at home. Trevor Project has said that 1 in 3 LGBTQ young people find their home to be affirming as all, only 1 in 3. And 42% of LGBTQ youth seriously contemplated suicide in the last year. We have learned when these bills are moving, when we hear about them in the news, one of the first things that I do when a bill like this drops is I text the Trevor Project and I say, make your front lines aware, Ohio has this coming. Because if you were to lay the graph on the introductions of these bills across the country with the spikes in calls to the suicide helpline, they would match each other. And so even in the places where these are being introduced and not passed, we are hoping to hold the line here in Ohio. We are giving it everything we've got. It does not mean that damage is not happening. And so I just want to say that to folks who might say, wow, 31 bills, or, this is just a phase. This is, we're going to beat them in the end. All of that may be true. We will have many victories ultimately in these legislatures, but it doesn't mean that the harm is not being done simply by the introduction of themselves, simply by young people seeing themselves be questioned by the elected leaders who are supposed to be providing solutions and protecting them. So that's sadly our experience with LGBTQ youth, but I'm going to end on a positive note that resilience is the key element that I see in all of our families. The resilience of parents who will do anything for their children and who will tell these stories so passionately and supportively. The resilience of young folks like the 12-year-old young trans woman who was in this meeting this week, who so passionately has been advocating since she was 7 years old in Ohio and stopped one of the bills in its tracks because of her advocacy. That's the hope that I have in this generation, but we can't also know that these bills pose real harm to them.